iOS 14 will kill Facebook ads. Facebook ads? Forget about it. They're done. Dead. It's gonna be a catastrophe! If you're hearing voices like that on every corner, congratulations! You do not indeed live under a rock. So you've heard that there is this big update coming up, and you might be getting a little bit worried and antsy about how it's going to affect you and your ads. How about we shut off the panic and instead dig into what exactly this update is, how it's going to affect Facebook ads for coaches, consultants, and online course creators, and finally, what can you do now to prepare for it? All of this is coming up in this video, so make sure you stay until the end, because there I'm going to take a look at some tools that exist within Facebook today that I think can help us mitigate the potentially negative effects of this upcoming iOS 14 update. Just a heads up, this video will have targeted tips for coaches, consultants, and online course creators, because that's the niche that I focus on, and that's where majority of my audience and my clients come from. So this video may not be as helpful to you if you have an e-commerce store or if you are driving ads to app installations or to in-app events. So I just wanted to throw it out there so that I don't waste your time. On the other hand, if you are driving people to your website in order for them to sign up for a freebie or for your email list on your website, or in order for them to buy something on your website like an online course or your consulting services, then this video will be exactly for you. So first up, let's talk about what this iOS 14 update is as it relates to Facebook ads. So you've probably heard that sometime in early 2021, Apple is going to require that all apps in the App Store show a prompt to the users requesting their permission to track them across websites and apps. So basically, that's going to make it really, really easy for people to opt out of Facebook and other social media sites and any tracking devices, cookies, pixels to track their activity across apps and websites. That possibility to remove that permission, it existed even before, but since it was hidden somewhere in the settings, I suspect that majority of people never bothered with it. But now it's going to be really easy, and Facebook is very concerned now that as people start opting out of tracking, that's going to affect the personalization, the optimization, and the reporting of Facebook ads, particularly the ads that have an app or a website conversion event as their objective. So if you are driving people to your app or to your website so that they sign up or buy something on your site, your ads are going to be affected. But no need to panic, at least for now. We don't know how much they're going to be affected by this, because at this point we don't even know how many people, what's the percentage of people going to be who are going to opt out of this tracking. And by the way, are you going to opt out of tracking across apps and websites? Tell me in the comments. I'm really curious. I personally, I'm not going to opt out of that. I don't mind the ads. I would rather see personalized ads. I have to say I've bought a ton of stuff from the ads that kind of hit exactly the spot that I needed right now. They're honestly very, very useful, and I love retargeting ads. I love when brands follow me around and keep offering me stuff, especially if I didn't get around to buying it. So I'm going to stick with the tracking and with the personalized ads, but I'm curious about you. Tell me in the comments. So on to point 2 in our agenda. How will this change affect Facebook ads for coaches, consultants, and online course creators? Again, even though we don't know the full extent of that change right now, it's certain that we're going to face some limitations with our ads. And the first group of these limitations is targeting limitations. One part to it is that as more and more people opt out of tracking on iOS 14 devices, some of your custom audiences are going to shrink, namely your app activity audiences and your website custom audiences. So those most likely will decrease in size. On a larger scale, Facebook targeting overall may become less effective. As Facebook is no longer able to track us through different sites and apps, it can no longer place us into certain interest targeting categories. So those categories are going to probably decrease in size or become less precise. We don't know how big of a problem that might be, if it'll even be a problem, but there's certainly a possibility that that might happen. And now on to our next set of problems. There's nothing like worrying about all of your future problems, isn't it? All right, let's just call them challenges. So we're going to face some ad creation limitations/challenges. One of them is that once the update rolls out, your pixel may only optimize for 8 conversion events per domain. So you know the standard events that Facebook has: lead, add to cart, initiate checkout, purchase standard event. So out of the 17 standard events currently available through Facebook, you will only be able to use 8 per each domain that you run ads to. So that means you may need to restructure how you optimize and measure your campaigns. More on that in the next part of our video. There will also be some dynamic ads limitations. So if you have a product catalog on Facebook, you will have to set it up in a way that it uses only 1 pixel. And by the way, all of this information I'm getting from a couple of Facebook's support articles. I'll link those down below in the description so that you can read the full details and take the parts that apply specifically to you. So we've talked about the targeting limitations, we've talked about the ad creation limitations. Now let's talk about the reporting limitations. That one is going to hurt. Under Apple's new policy, the information that will be passed back to Facebook from iOS 14 devices is going to become more limited. And naturally, that's going to present some challenges when it comes to reporting on our ads, especially when it comes to measurements of the website conversion events. So what exactly are going to be those reporting limitations? First, we'll have to face with delayed reporting. Real-time reporting will not be supported from iOS 14 devices, so data may be delayed up to 3 days, which is kind of a lot. That's going to make it harder to optimize our campaigns. Because imagine that if a large portion of your results, or either sales or signups, is coming from iOS 14 devices, and then you're running your ads, it's been 3 or 4 days, your budget keeps on spending, and you are looking for those results, but what's coming in is not enough to justify running the ads. So, of course, your natural response will be to shut them off. But the problem is that maybe results are happening, but they're not being reported yet. Or maybe some of them will get lost completely. I mean, they won't show up in reporting because some of those conversions will not be passed back onto Facebook because the users have opted out of tracking. Honestly, looking at everything, this right there may be the most challenging thing for me and my clients, this delayed reporting and the fact that not all conversions will be passed back from iOS 14 devices. So this is going to make it really hard to make decisions on what to scale and what to turn off. So this is definitely an icky problem that will need to be figured out. Another problem will be that there will be no more support for breakdowns for both app and web conversions delivery and action breakdowns such as gender, age, region, placement. They will not be supported. So where before you could break down your results like this, you'll no longer be able to when it comes to iOS 14 devices. And the final change that we're going to cover when it comes to reporting is that there are going to be changes to the attribution window settings. An attribution window is the number of days between when a person viewed or clicked your ad and between the action that they took. So, for example, there is an attribution window setting that still exists right now. It's a 28-day click-through attribution window. So, for example, if I saw your ad today and I clicked on it and I didn't buy, but I bought within the next 28 days, that purchase is still going to be attributed to your ad. Now, this attribution window setting is going away. It will no longer be available. Namely, the 28-day click-through, 28-day view-through, and 7-day view-through attribution windows are no longer going to be supported. So if I viewed your ad today and I took action within 8 days instead of 7, that's no longer going to be attributed to your ad. Only the following windows will be supported under this new attribution setting: 1-day click, 7-day click, 1-day click and 1-day view, and 7-day click and 1-day view. So if you have a longer sales cycle, you will definitely want to prepare for this change. We'll discuss how in step 3 of this video. Now, all of this sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? It sounds like, oh my God, everything is going to be affected and it's going to suck. Now, are we likely to see some negative changes in the short term? Yes, but we honestly don't know how big those changes will be. Sometimes these big tech companies, they prepare some new update and it seems so much bigger from the outside, and then when it's rolled out, it's not that big of a deal and we just always find a way to adjust. Plus, Facebook is already working on the solutions towards all of these problems. For example, for reporting, they're working on aggregated event management, which will be introduced once Apple starts requiring that ATT prompt. So hopefully that will help us more accurately measure web events. And finally, there are steps that we can take to prepare now for this upcoming change. And there are also tools existing right now within Facebook that can help us mitigate the effects of whatever changes are coming up. So stay tuned to learn all about those. So what can you do now to prepare? First of all, Facebook recommends that you verify your domain. I'll link the article on how to do that in the description of this video, so check it out and go and get your domain verified. Second is we need to plan to operate with only 8 conversions events per domain. If you use more than 8 conversion events for optimization or reporting, you will need to prepare an action plan on how to operate with only 8 of those events. For example, like we said, the lead, initiate checkout, add to cart, purchase. Just base this on your business priorities and fit under those 8 events. Initially, Facebook is going to configure those events for you, I guess, based on the past history of your campaigns and what you've been optimizing to. But if you have your domain verified, you can change which are going to be your 8 conversion events that you're going to optimize to going forward. The final thing that you can do now to prepare is to prepare for the change in attribution window. So you can use the comparing windows feature within Facebook and you can see the breakdown of how many conversion events have happened in the 7 days versus how many have happened in the 28 days, for example. So you can see where the majority of your conversions falls. So that'll help you better anticipate any changes in the reported conversions that will come when everything shifts to only the 7-day attribution window. Oh, and by the way, when Apple's changes take effect, also all of your automated rules will switch to the 7-day click attribution window. So you might want to go ahead and change those now so that later on there is no hitches in how your rules are getting triggered. So these are the 3 action steps that you can take now to prepare for the upcoming changes. Again, I will link down below in the video description the articles where you can read the full extent of how this new release may affect you and your ads. These articles have a lot more information for those who are driving ads to an app. And like I said, I didn't cover those in this video because most of my audience drives people to their website to sign up or buy there. So you might want to read those articles and kind of adjust even more to your unique situation. Now, before we wrap up, I wanted to offer a bit of a silver lining perspective and highlight a few tools that exist within Facebook as we speak that can help us navigate these upcoming challenges. So yes, we are going to face targeting problems. And yes, our website custom audiences are going to shrink. But we can very well compensate for that by building Facebook-based custom audiences, such as video viewers, page engagement, even page likes. These two can be highly, highly effective. In fact, it's a good action step right now to retarget all of your website visitors with some kind of video or some kind of engaging post from your page so that they are drawn to your Facebook-based custom audience and you can retarget them at any point, even after Apple's changes are rolled out. You will already have them in your Facebook-based custom audience. And you can retarget them for 365 days, by the way. And for website visitors retargeting, the typical window the maximum window is 180 days. So you actually even win a little bit. Now, reporting and optimization. Like I mentioned, I think that might be our biggest challenge, but I can see how we can get creative, and depending on how much we have to pivot, we can shift to the types of campaigns that do not require for the data to be passed from the website back to Facebook. For example, if you want to continue your lead generation, for lead generation, instead of sending people to sign up on your website, you can run lead form campaigns on Facebook. A lead form is a sign-up form that exists right within Facebook, so there is no need for data to be passed back and forth, so you'll have it immediately right away. For sales, for driving ads to get sales, that might be even a little bit more challenging. Facebook has a feature called Facebook Shop, but right now it exists only for the sale of physical products, e-commerce, real estate, automotive products. So we cannot overtly sell digital courses through Facebook Shops, even though it's not stated in the rules that you cannot sell online courses, but it says you cannot sell digital downloadable products. So I guess there is some room for speculation, but I just think that Facebook, maybe they will even change that rule in the future. We'll see. For retargeting your website traffic, I could see how, again, depending on how negatively those changes affect us, but I could see how we might shift from driving people to a website page to instead driving them to an instant experience, which is kind of like a page you build out within Facebook again. So it loads very, very fast directly from the ad. I'm sure you've probably tried them, and you can retarget people who have opened up, so aka viewed your instant experience. So that would be just like retargeting people who hit the page view event on your website. Unfortunately, it's not possible right now to buy through an instant experience. But again, maybe that will change in the future, and at least you could retarget people who visited the instant experience but didn't buy. And you can retarget the full extent of them versus driving them to your website page, and there some portion of those people who have opted out of tracking, they will no longer be trackable, and they will no longer be in your website retargeting audience, and you won't be able to reach all of them. Again, all of these tools already exist within Facebook. So some of them we can start using and adapting to our purposes right away as soon as the changes hit us. And I'm sure on some of the other products, Facebook will continue working and tweaking them in order to help as many advertisers to continue generating profit from their platform as possible. And by the way, as we move into those changes, I will be highlighting the most appropriate Facebook tools to deal with them, to mitigate the effects of lost audiences and the reporting. We'll see how bad it'll be. So make sure you subscribe to my channel to not miss any of those future videos. So can it happen that it will become temporarily harder to run Facebook ads? That we will have to piece together strategies completely on the fly, and those strategies may work or they may flop. And yes, I think it can totally happen. But here's another silver lining. As it becomes harder, some advertisers are going to quit. And as they quit, there are more opportunities that are going to open up for those who stay. For example, maybe the ads will become cheaper. I hope you will be among those who stays the course, and I'll be there supporting you along the way. Now, let me know in the comments what is going to be the first step that you're going to take to prepare for these changes. And again, make sure that you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos about this update and about how we can best navigate it together. Thanks so much. I'll see you again soon.